shit, did Monday throw me off kilter, gang. Like, things have been pretty chill for me lately for the most part, but this one little problem became the biggest deal because I'm like not as used to like dodging curveballs as I used to be, you know? I was running Amazon Flex around in my funky little Mini Cooper, and she just decided it's too hot, don't want to run anymore. Stalled out a couple times. We think it's a clutch issue. But while I was hanging out in the sweet, sweet air conditioning of this Caribou Coffee for like 4 hours, I opted to just sift through some of my old notes instead of doom scrolling, partially to save battery, but also because I've started writing again, and so I was like collecting some of my thoughts. My notes app is full of like fragments of thoughts that I intended to flesh out at some point, or like old captions from social media posts that I deleted, but I think this one in particular was written in like 2016 and like helped shake me out of my stress spiral a little bit because it reminded me that like peace is built into my core.
Rewind to Genesis 1. God created the world and everything in it and then breathed mankind into existence. Everything was at peace, in rhythm, and lined up exactly as it was meant to. God was intentional when he created us, when he created you. Everything else in creation was simply spoken into existence, but you were painstakingly formed, carefully sculpted with an exact purpose for your existence. He didn't make you to be the bowling ball that sent the pins of perfection into chaos. He didn't create you to be broken, to be a failure. He made you in his image. Your primal identity in your bones was given to you by the Creator himself. Sure, Genesis 3 happened, and sin sure made a mess of things, but that doesn't change who we are at our core. We are made in the image of God, no matter how off the mark your image may seem. You have inherent worth and value because you were brought to life by God's own breath. Never forget that.
I think when I originally wrote this, it was supposed to like remind me of my identity as a child of God and like help boost my self-esteem and self-worth, you know? But what hit me when I was rereading this today was that peace has been at the core of my being since the beginning of time, you know? Because the poetry of the creation stories in Genesis really points to like a wholeness and rest. In Genesis 1, God speaks all of existence into being and calls it good. And in Genesis 2, he forms man from the dust of the ground and gives us a garden to run around in. The backyard has been my sanctuary lately, and I'm reading this under the ash tree on my back deck, which is where I've been spending a lot of time hanging out. There's something about the being surrounded by greenery, the sound of the wind rushing through the trees, or like birds and critters chittering in the distance. Walking barefoot through my moss and clover-ridden lawn is just such a grounding thing. And when humankind was created, we were given a tranquil little slice of paradise, and even now we need to touch grass. I have done so much work to figure out what peace and rest even looks like. I was raised to be very independent and then threw myself into this environment where like I was only valued as much as I could like put into the ministry, you know? Breaking out of a mindset of I have to bust ass for the good of the church has been such a mindfuck. And I often find myself sabotaging my peace by falling into my old like self-sufficient behaviors. I have had the immense privilege of just getting to house spouse and focus on like studying and writing and taking care of my mental health since like February, because I had a little bit of a mental break after I pushed myself beyond my capacity. Like, I had such a high threshold for what I could deal with before the pandemic, and then trying to push myself to that point just broke me a little bit. I'm not built for that anymore. But JT was like, dude, I make enough to take care of both of us. You don't have to push yourself to burnout. But me, I still feel like I have to be pulling my weight or whatever. So like, that's the only reason I was even out doing Amazon Flex, because I feel like being dependent on another person is somehow wrong. Like asking my partner to help me pay a bill is somehow a failing on my part. When I wrote this post in like 2016, I said you were carefully sculpted with an exact purpose for your existence. And back then I was probably talking about like how each person has a higher calling on their lives, a divine motive for everything they do. You know, that like you are called to speak life to people with every cup of coffee you make. Being a barista is your mission field sort of bullshit. But these days I wonder if that exact purpose isn't just to be here. You know, simply enjoying the ride of existence should be enough. I say, when this entire post fell out of my head after a day where the ride of existence had been anything but enjoyable. Like, Monday I was straight up not having a good time, and I still haven't figured out what's wrong with the Mini, but she's not the only one with check engine lights on here. Because obviously I still gotta run a diagnostic check on my heart, because like 2016 Pip said, I am not here to be broken, to be a failure. So there's gotta be something out of whack that I gotta take care of before I too stall out. I'm probably gonna be doing more content like this, just processing my own shit. Whether you want to see that here on TikTok or read it as the blog post that I'm badly reading here, you can check that out at mothsbane.com. But thank you for being along for this ride. Remember that you are worthy of peace, love, respect, and happiness exactly as you are and not in spite of it. And I hope that you have a day as awesome as I think you are. Bye.